And we're live. Hello,
We
hello.
are.
Yes, apparently I
Hey.
can push the play button, Steph. Sorry about your countdown. I just like hovered my mouse over there. Like if I push play, is it actually going to go live? And it did. So we don't. I don't need you,
How
Steph.
about that?
You can go to bed.
Hooray!
All right. See ya. Have fun.
Sit
Bye.
down. Steph's probably tired though. She's been working her butt off.
I
Oh,
may fall asleep in the middle of the stream because we were just talking about sleep, and that's making it seem very attractive at the moment.
Honestly, when I was talking about taking a nap earlier, I was like, another nap. That'd be
Ah.
nice.
Yeah, I've been taking boats apart, and that involves going up, 13-foot ladders with 20 pounds of tools and stuff, and it's just do that for 8 hours a day, and you know what? You burn a lot of calories.
you might as well cancel your gym membership because you think you got it covered.
Yeah, I've never really required a gym membership. Um, you know,
Yeah.
being a sail maker, there's an awful lot of deep knee bends involved, and being a rigger, there's an awful lot of deep knee bends involved as well. So
Hmm.
I'm good. I'm good. I do not have a sedentary lifestyle. Ah, Carly is with us. Aha.
Hooray!
There's
Cool,
Miss
cool,
Carly.
cool.
Oh, look at the setup. Looking good. Oh, we can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. Hmm.
I
Says
don't know what's going on either, but
We broke it already.
yeah, it's yeah,
we can
Can't
see
be,
your
a,
mic though.
chaos.
can't be a proper live stream without somebody having a muted mic by accident.
That's
Uh-huh.
right. Tech demons. I blame Chris.
I would say
I
Chris Mallard.
I
Is Chris Mallard here? Did he bring his gremlins?
have
He's,
no
he's
idea.
probably lurking in chat or something. He does that from time to time. I don't know. Does he know about this channel yet? I'm not sure.
Yes. Yeah, he was
Okay.
in Carly's premiere earlier.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Carly will get her audio stuff figured out in just a second. But in the meantime, let's introduce our guest because I don't know if
Yeah.
everybody knows Rudy.
Yeah, let's do that.
Rudy is they, them, Faye, Fair. Is that the other ones
Correct.
that you like? Yeah, I
I
like those
also
ones.
have started using he, him more recently as well.
Mhm.
So all of the above.
Yeah, that's yeah. Just want to make
Any
sure
all
everybody knows who you are. What's your
And the kitty ears are working.
there you go, Carly.
awesome.
X Cult Baby was your is your channel. Do you still make stuff under that moniker?
I haven't in recent times, but I've thought about starting up some stuff more recently. But me thinking about things and actually doing things are two very different things. So um, but you can find me on most platforms as X Cult Baby. If you want to get in contact with me for whatever reason, I am a queer person who grew up in a religious cult. I am now not a person of faith, and I am out and trans. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
cool. So, Carly, you got your kitty ears all set up, good to go. Excellent.
Good.
Oh, the ears are up.
Ears are up.
The the kitty ears are going. Yeah, the kitty ears are going tonight. We've got a good transposition sports coming up tonight, and it's in its publishing phase right now. Monday, we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about that other contact sport a little bit tonight. We're going to be talking about We're going to be talking about the political game this week. An example of what happens when
Oh
you stand up and
my.
an example of what happens when you don't stand up and then you stand up on the rebound. We're going to be looking inside the ins and outs of this Senate race that we've got in Texas right now.
Oh, goody.
Between Ted Cruz and Colin Allred, the whole transports issue has gotten in the middle of that, and it has
Yeah.
really moved into things there. On the other, also, we're going to take a look at even at the presidential side of things, and of course, another update on the continuing forfeit crisis in women's college volleyball.
Oh,
And
God.
and another team has joined the line. And I'm also going to propose a solution to the problem. In addition to also our spotlight this week, Phoebe Rose is back in the chair as a spotlight as part of our exchange program for the week. Phoebe Rose, the host of Transition Stories and Transition Journeys, came back on this Grand Prix week for the Formula One Grand Prix of the United States in Austin, Texas, on Sunday, as promised last month. She came back and gave us a preview, and this weekend I'm going to be on her show as part of
Sweet.
her sixth
Awesome.
season of talking about. And also, I want to send a shout out. I got to send a shout out to Ember for an excellent interview with Alana McLaughlin.
Thank you.
And,
That was
and
really
it was-
fun, and he is so freaking cool.
I would hardly concur. Alana is one of my favorite people. Rudy, welcome to the party. Good to see you. Welcome to the party. We always love guests here at the party. So that's coming up in Transposition Sports. But I just want to know one thing. If we haven't talked about it yet, who let the crickets out?
I got that one tonight for sure.
Yay!
I'm the bug girl on the panel, so I'm all over
That's
those
right.
crickets.
Hey, I am
Nice.
off.
Nice.
And we're gonna
I'm telling you,
see. We're gonna talk about rhetoric. I'm gonna use this as an example of rhetoric when we get there. So just stick around because I'll break it down for you. It's gonna be an interesting journey. And then
now, one thing I want to throw an invite out to all the crit kids over there in the UK, to the Trans Kids Deserve Better group. I'm throwing these were the kids that during the summer they occupied the NHS offices in London.
Wow.
They took to the ledge and occupied the offices, and now these kids went to the LGB Alliance, or as I like to call them, the KGB Alliance conference this week, and they dumped crickets on it.
that's
So
where I was talking about rhetoric because we're gonna listen to a Posey Parker interview about the hulking men that did this, and then we're gonna read some articles that were written about these vile men. They were children, like all of them. They're teenagers. They just don't like you, and they're pulling pranks on you. It's
I'm telling
how
you,
you
I'm all for it.
that's how you protest. Get used to it. Lucky it wasn't
Well,
a pie in the face, right?
Yeah, and that happened this week.
We need more
that happened
pies.
this week. We need more pie. I know.
It is the anniversary of that this week.
Can we
Oh, yeah.
deliver a pie? Can we deliver a pie in the face to Riley Gaines?
Oh goodness, that would be. Mm.
I
Yeah.
mean, I would love that. But I just want to let that group in the UK know we're with you. You have solidarity here across the Atlantic. And if you ever want to come on Transpositions and explain to Americans what and why you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
we've got a seat for you. So come
Open
on
seat.
come on in.
So
You can even bring a friend.
If you were to deliver a pie to Riley Gaines, what kind of pie would it be?
The ones you find in the field.
I do it exactly.
Oh,
I do it
cow
exactly the way,
pies.
I would do it exactly the way Anita Bryant would do it. I would do it exactly the way it was done with Anita Bryant. Just find a
Okay.
simple cream pie and
So
just
we're
do it
going
that
for
way.
cream pie.
Classic.
Cream pies.
Classic,
But the point is,
harmless.
after I do it, I would say that was in the name of Leah Thomas. That was for Aiden Gallagher. That was for Veronica Garcia. That was for every teenage kid, you and your group. And that was also for Becky Pepper Jackson. Bree, you want to talk about somebody being called a hulking
Right.
male. A
Exactly.
person
That's who
who is
popped in my head.
a person who's most likely going to be governor of West Virginia, Patrick Morrissey, who's up like 15 points in the polls. called a 13-year-old girl a hulking male. And
Mhm.
and this is an example of something I'm going to be talking about in transposition sports. When Why isn't the Democratic candidate for governor in West Virginia? If I was running against Patrick Morrissey, I'd be hitting him with what he said about that little girl every day. I'd make sure every West Virginian woke up in the morning hearing it, go to bed hearing it in their sleep, hearing it in their workplace. See, I'm not asking people to, I am not asking every candidate who's fighting against these anti-trans people to go around with Azure salmon and cream. I'm not asking you to do that, but I am asking you, when you hear the nonsense, call it out. When you hear
Mhm.
the nonsense, just call it out. And it doesn't take much to call it out. I understand the way the political game works. I know you're gun shy to say trans women are women. I know it. I know it. You know it. I know you're gun shy to say trans kids should be protected in schools, because I know the political expediency that the wannabe James Carvilles who are running your campaign. I know the game. I used to work in the game. I get it, but it doesn't take much just to stand up and speak out. For every one vote you think you'll lose, you're going to win three.
Mhm.
Andy Brashear in Kentucky showed you that in 2 years ago. When you
Oh
stand up
yeah.
to this nonsense, they'll fold every freaking time. So do it. Stand up.
Yeah. Really, honestly, most people don't give a shit about this
Well,
issue.
Most
They
people don't like
don't.
to see
it's
They
people
don't
being
care.
most people don't like to see other people, to be able to see other people
Right.
being persecuted or segregated or anything like that. As long as they don't see it, they're okay. So you got to make sure they keep seeing it and keep knowing about it. That's why we're here, folks.
That's right.
And
That's the game. That's the
also, I
fight.
want you to know. Also,
yeah.
I want you to know, if you haven't had a chance or given yourself a chance to see that excellent short film that was done by James Lance, also known as The Angry Gay Grandpa. We're running it
Mhm.
in Transposition Sports. We're going to run it again.
Hell yeah.
Guaranteed, you will get to watch it again if you haven't seen it, and
Pluck
you
those
should, because
heartstrings.
I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a Kleenex close by, make sure a Kleenex is close by. You're going to need it, because this was a beautiful thing, and I'm telling you, go to notlosingyout.com and spread this around like peanut butter between now and November 5th. It's that dang important.
Mhm.
All right. And I got
Absolutely.
let's start off with now that the whole team's here. I want to bring this up real quick. This is from the Pink News UK News about the new categories that they're adding to child death certificate. That's a kind of a can of worms here, but uh, we all remember Brianna J. Uh, tragically, uh, this is a trans youth that was killed for uh, reasons I can't comprehend to this day.
By
But
her classmates.
so, with some petitions and stuff after this, they did actually manage to get that changed, and I'm sure the turfs are just going to be thrilled about that. Comments, questions? Do you want me to read any of this segment?
Yeah, just do a summary, general gist of things for people who aren't familiar.
Yeah. So, as we just mentioned, Brianna was murdered. I should just say that. Shouldn't say killed. She was murdered by her classmates. In the UK right now, there's a reason it's called Turf Island. There's a lot of transphobia, and Brianna was a trans youth. So, with some petitioning to the government, let's see here. Under current UK law, only people age 18 and older are able to apply for and obtain a GRC, that's the Gender Recognition Certificate, which allows a trans person's gender to be recorded on birth, death, and marriage certificates. Gay was too young. I think it's J. Actually, I think the way this is pronounced is J is the way I've heard it said. So I'm going to say J. was too young at the time of her death to obtain a certificate, so she was buried with the AMAB information in her death certificate and in her death records. However, research by the Trans Safety Network shows a GRC is not needed for a transgender person's true gender to be registered on a death certificate because the only document legally required is a medical certificate of death. Trans legal researcher and journalist Jesse O. Thomas has previously said that while it would be a relief to transgender men and women, is not a satisfactory because it does not stop malicious cis family members intentionally admitting our transness. That's kind of my worry too, honestly, that I got people in my life who, if something happened to me, that they would bury me in my dead name, right?
Is this Sir Elton John I'm seeing on my screen?
Yeah, he did an interview. It's like an ad. It's not what we're covering now. If Elton John was involved in this some way, that'd just be so bizarre. I don't know how he would be involved.
Wait a minute. That's
very... It's Elton John.
Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road, man.
Yeah, but this change, the quote, allow transgender people who are deceased to be legally remembered by the gender they lived by. And this is in the UK, so it's kind of a big deal because the UK has been testing grounds for a lot of transphobic movements, a lot of gender.
Particularly England.
Yeah.
Scotland has been not going, neither Scotland nor Wales have been horrific, but England, holy Moses, just what? And being of English descent, it's just, we are terrible people. What can I say?
It's not the only embarrassing thing that the British have done that we'll look back on and be like, wow, you guys were on the wrong side of history. But it is.
No. The English are the nastiest bastards on the planet. And I say that as someone of again, English descent. And, but our sort was too nasty for even them. So
here's the worst part of this, though. I don't know if you all read this or not, but research has previously suggested that more than half of trans and non-binary people were misgendered in death between 2011 and 2021.
Oh, yeah.
Those aren't
that sounds
surprising numbers,
honestly.
but disappointing numbers, but not surprising numbers.
Yeah. So that's that story. That was kind of the open panel thing I wanted to get out here on the track. But Rudy, I did want to mention why you're here too, or what we brought you on to talk about, because it's just been announced that they're making a new series based on a book, and you're in the middle of reading the book right now.
I am more of an audiobook person personally than I am a paper in front of you or ebook person, just because I got ADHD. Sometimes it's hard. But yeah, I've been listening to this book in anticipation of the show coming out. I saw this article a little while ago and you reminded me of it, which, again, thank you, Bree. Because it got me to actually sit down and download the audiobook from my local library app, which, by the way, if you're an audiobook person like me, and you're also not wanting to spend a bunch of money on audiobooks from like Audible or whatever, see if your local library has an app that lets you download audiobooks, because mine does, and I live in nowhere, Ohio, so.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So,
wow, I never even thought about
pretty
that.
fantastic,
That's really
TBH.
Cool. That's really cool.
So you said you're about halfway through it right now, and they just found out they had this to download. I was talking to them last night, and I was like, and they were like, oh, I just found it. They said, I wonder if they have this for download. And then he said, oh, I just found it. And it's like,
Yeah, literally
Oh.
since last night, I've listened to more than 50% of it. It's very good, and I'm so excited to see what they do with the on-screen adaptation of this. Manhunt. It's a dystopian fiction, and I'll give you just the most basic synopsis, that it's in a post-apocalypse in which I don't know if this is yet to be revealed in the book, but basically some kind of disease that affects people with a certain amount of testosterone in their body. So trans women who were on hormones were not affected. Trans men are not affected. Cis women, at least not that I have seen so far in the story, are affected. But this disease turns them into these feral monsters, essentially. So almost all of the cis men on the planet have just turned into savage monsters. And
that's wild.
I'm intrigued by the incredibly scrotal.
oh yes,
It's
that's
so
one of the best
cool.
parts.
Yeah.
And you know,
One
and
of
now
the main
you know.
ways that
I mean, what the
Trans-
fuck? I'm sorry.
no, it's fine. One of the main ways that sources of estrogen for trans people and anybody else who needs estrogen is by killing these feral man beasts and taking their kidney lobes and their testicles
Oh my fucking
and eating
word.
them.
Oh, and eating them.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. You
So-
so the testicles work as a kind of E blocker, and for any human being, the adrenal glands produce both estrogen and testosterone. That's why people of both genders have both, and they harvest them. And there's a few scientists running around, and they like do black market deals with the scientists to get their estrogen and shit.
So you've read the
Great.
book too,
Brilliant.
Ember. Oh, good, because I didn't want to be the only person.
It's so fun.
It's
I mean,
so
We can
good.
usually
Crazy, it's creepy, but it's also a fun because there's certain things that happen partway through that got the TERFs really, really riled up over this book. But it's
Oh
just
yeah, there's a militant faction of TERFs in this world.
Mhm.
Some of the survivors obviously are women, and a lot of them are TERFs, and they become this militia. It's which
yeah, they try to set
of
up a
course they
government.
would.
It's like Posey Parker's American lieutenant tries to set up a new government based in Baltimore, and she just like tries to strong arm everyone, and it's so wild. I mean, there's horror
Well-
in it too. There is a lot of horror and a lot of really brutal fucking violence.
Oh yeah,
So
it's
this
very
is set in
brutal.
Have a strong
Baltimore?
stomach. Yeah. Well, the
Oh,
story itself is further up the coast.
Maya's in the chat here. Maybe Maya can
Yeah,
give us
it's
some
definitely
inside
East
information.
Coast. I am terrible at placing the specifics of paying attention to those kinds of details in a book. If they're not talking about a setting that I know really well, I'm just like, yeah, place names, whatever. It's the East Coast somewhere.
Yeah, that's
So-
fair.
so
Although
if
it
you're
does flash
tailgating
over to
somebody-
Scotland briefly.
If you're tailgating somebody, Maya, and you see this little net bag with a couple of, things, maybe keep your distance.
Yeah, it's like those truck nuts look awfully real.
They
Aw.
do.
I like how it's like an orange bag, though.
I can tell you right now, the right
These
the
are
right
these are the
gonna hate
people
this
that
thing. They're gonna
These are the
hate
people-
this if they adapt this. I've read the novel.
Oh, yeah.
The novel's really, really good. But you know the right wing's gonna hate this if they adapt this to
Absolutely.
It's gonna be a show.
They're gonna hate it.
Yeah, I can't wait for this to get adapted, and then I'm
Yeah.
never gonna stop hearing about it. And I'm totally hyped for that. Like I feel like this is this show is going to be for the trans community.
And let's
What's
let's
that?
not forget who's working on this too, right here.
Mhm.
You know who that is?
We know who it is.
Well, I know you
Everybody
guys.
knows who
I know you guys
really
know who
is.
he is. Yay!
Hey,
Yeah.
Red
So-
Pill's a movie.
Yeah, damn right. Well,
The only thing is, though, I'd like to see a utopia where the trans folks take over.
Well,
I'd like a
I
world ran by pissed off black queer folks. That's what I'd like to see.
That
Personally,
would be
that's
a
what I'd like to see.
lovely, lovely place.
I
Hey,
do think
BB's
it's
here too.
interesting
Look
how
at that.
much in the novel they do talk about some intersectionality, but not like in an academic way, like in a I'm living through this kind of way.
yeah.
Every part of it is fucking brutal.
hmm Yeah, it's a
Ah.
great book so far. Like I said, I'm only halfway through it. I literally started it yesterday, last night.
Mm.
But it's
So I'm just trying to wrap my head around the world building. The men run around feral with like in the wilds or in
yes,
the
and
Basically,
they
yeah.
are like
uh
hairy and have these horrible like fissures all over their faces and bodies.
Oh
And,
no.
like,
oh
and
no.
I think that I don't know if this is safe to YouTube, but I think that their penises are barbed.
Ah. Well,
Yeah,
Oh,
the
you mean like
virus
ducks?
mutates them,
They're
turns them
ducks.
in. It kind of, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's awesome. You got
that's interesting.
corkscrew dicks. That's awesome.
is that what they're out to do?
Partly, yes. They procreate by impregnating human women because they're technically still human men.
The ducks do.
Yeah. The duckmen. The
The
feral
horrible
duckmen.
feral
kinda.
duckmen. So there is definitely some graphic talk about violence, essay, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Mm,
Jeez.
Yeah,
that sounds
the story,
terrifying.
Yeah,
the
if
story
you're
follows a couple of trans women who are, desperate to keep their hormones under control so they don't fall
Yeah.
victim to the damn virus.
right, if they
and-
stop taking E, eventually they convert into one of these.
Oh
feral-
no!
Yeah, it's really one of the main characters. Right before the apocalypse happened,
Behind
she
me.
was supposed to have her orgy, but it got like rescheduled, and then the world ended. So she's stuck. She's like,
Damn.
I was so damn close. But it's wild. So they're afraid of everybody because there's the men running through the forest who will just ravage them and murder them both at the same time. And if the turfs catch them, they'll murder them too. So it's
Oh,
yeah,
goodness.
everyone's a threat. Yeah.
Yeah,
What a
it's
world.
Okay,
kind of
this-
like it's kind of like everybody hates us and we're constantly in danger.
Oh, it's kind of like the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sadly, yes.
Oh, that's the real that's the real world right now. God, everyone hates us, and I get double of it. I get both of it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that.
Mhm.
I,
I will say I'm really excited just by Lily Wachowski being on such explicitly queer projects now. Like this. I mean, presumably this show is going to have a pretty decent budget because I don't know how you're going to do this story any justice without a fairly well budgeted production.
hmm
Yeah.
It's a dystopian fiction. If you can't put in some good effects, if you can't shoot outdoors on site to some degree, I don't feel like it's going to measure up. And I mean, this is one of the Wachowski sisters. She's made the freaking Matrix. I think she can do this justice.
They got to put the budget behind it is the thing.
Kind of got that going for you, right?
See that?
And
Track record. Yeah, I got that.
although, like I said, you know what kind of backlash is going to come from
Oh,
something
for sure.
like this.
well,
Literally,
it's-
Which is
even
all
if
the more reason why I'm going to watch this show.
oh hell yeah, whatever streaming service it's on, if it's on one I don't have, I'll pirate it. I don't care. I'll figure out a way to watch it.
well, I think the boys kind of demonstrated a desire for left wing media, like left wing sci-fi and action and stuff. Despite what the chuds on YouTube, gamer bro, streams want to tell you about Disney and things like that. There is a demand for it. That's why they keep making it. We are not asking them to put queer people in everything, right? They're saying, hey, when we put queer people in things, the queer people like it. So let's put queer people in things. And then
fortunately, we live in a time of capitalism where we are profitable.
Yay?
Hey,
Yay! Yeah.
or we were until Dylan Mulvaney pissed off the people with the Bud Light, and then it became unpopular to that. What was it? The Pride after that to do the Pride displays in stores and stuff.
well,
I don't know why it was so weird.
yeah, great. Pride became unpopular when Pride became unpopular the same year I became a grand marshal of one. That is just not right.
Is that a coincidence, do you think? Or
Yeah,
and
what'd
the
you
Pride
do,
was-
Carly?
You.
and the grand marshal of the Pride I was a grand and the Pride I was the grand marshal of was underwritten by a defense contract.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really cool, though.
no,
that you
that's
got
not
to do
cool.
that.
I don't
No,
want
that you-
rainbow. I don't want rainbow imperialism.
Yeah.
No, that you got to.
We're
You got to be the
Why
Grand
are you
Marshal was the
surprised?
only part I was talking about.
No, that was an honor. Actually, no, being
Yeah.
Grand Marshal of Middletown, Connecticut Pride in 2023 was an honor.
That's very
Wasn't
cool.
talking about the Black Rock connection.
It was an honor that I didn't see coming. I had two close friends who were past Grand Marshals of this particular Pride celebration, and I mean, I honestly, I didn't think I rate or did enough to be a grand marshal, but this committee disagreed. So you know what? I'll take it, and I'll take the nice convertible ride and get to ride to the. It was great, and
Well,
I want to see this manhunt project come on the streaming service. Like Rudy said, whatever this is on, I will get it. Whatever this is on, I. But again, this shows again why creatives, queer creatives, and especially trans creatives, we have to support each other. We have to support it
We do.
when because I mean, right now I know a couple creators that have films that are looking for they're looking for distribution right now, and they've done some great projects, and we need to swing up for these projects in every way that we can. And I know that in our community, we're passing the same $10 around to each other. And that's the way it works. We know how, Rudy, you know what I'm talking about. You know how this works.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but if we don't have the dollars, we have our mouths. And those of us who have platforms have a little bit of platform, yell it out, scream it out as much as we can. If you know some people that know some people, put that bug in their ear. Or in the case of those kids in the UK, put the cricket in their ear, do something. But let people know. And I would just say to all of us, for example, we've built this news platform here at the Transpositions of our community. Everyone you see here is a trans person who's delivering the story from our perspective, because Lord knows Lord knows the mainstream media is never going to get our perspective. Right now we're under this frontal, back, rear, side, flank assault by everybody during this campaign season. Now, have you heard a trans voice on a major network news show talk about any of this? Have you heard one?
No, we're in that peculiar position where, if you were actually trying to report on trans issues, don't you think it maybe ask a trans person to give their perspective?
Yeah, we're getting
No,
talked about a lot. more
not
than we're getting talked
necessarily. But
Exactly.
on a purely selfish note, with regard to the transpositions, we now have 420. That's 420, folks.
Woo!
Right. That's right.
Subscribers. So, while we're enjoying this moment, I encourage you to, do with it as you will.
Might get
But
myself a little snacky snack.
get us to 500. We'll be happy about that. You know, so tell people to like, subscribe, all that stuff. You know, that keep
Share.
it going for us. You know,
If you know
The
somebody
Yeah.
algorithms
has some-
don't like us little channels. It depends on people sharing.
And we're very controversial in the topics that we cover, so we get combed through. We get a lot more people that comment in our stuff that are haters, like than we do that getting any kind of love. So if you can show us
Look,
some love,
Jefferson Spashcock just joined the side chat. Hey, Jefferson, do us.
well,
a
we
favor.
had
tell your people. Tell Pine Nuts to subscribe to the Transpositions.
we had Vice Rhino here a minute ago. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I
he
think-
popped by to cheer on Rudy.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
Really nice touch. Yeah. He
We-
may
we
still be
played-
lurking.
But
We played D&D
maybe
together, so that
Vice
doesn't
Rhino
count.
could get Eric Hovine to pitch in too. You know, you never know.
I mean, he does like to produce movies.
So
It comes full circle. Yes. Hi, Jefferson. It's good to see ya.
Yeah, it's great to see you. Great to see all you guys. Anarchic Fox has been here for a while. Robert Midwell's been here for a while. You know, it's like
BB's out there. Birdie Birdie.
Dr. Jay Bundy was dropped by. That was kind of fun to see. He said, yeah, I don't know if he's still watching or if he's grading papers at the moment, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Gather's been a little bit quiet lately.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
But we had some fun last night over in our Discord. We just hanging out, playing music and stuff. And so join our Discord. You know, maybe you'll catch us, one of us, in a musical frenzy. You might hear me playing the harmonica, which I let go ages ago. But Bree is the harmonic cat here. She's really good.
I'm not going to play harmonica. Don't worry. I have one, but I'm not going to play it. I promise.
Nice of you.
Yeah. No worries. But if you want to listen to any of to music with us or to just talk with us, we spent hours chatting last night. Yeah, we have a Discord server. If you're a trans or a queer person, you are welcome. We have a safe spot. We have a voice chat room where you're always going to be able to feel safe and comfortable. No one's going to make you feel uncomfortable. It's a really great community. The whole place is a good vibe. We've had some just asking question bros come in and kind of.
You know where those bros go? You know where those bros go, don't you? We created a special role for those bros. It's called the attack helicopter role.
Very nice.
Yes. And they can only post in the send bin once they're there. So
That's right.
then people who choose to want to say I want to go argue with some dumb turf logic can go down there
go
and
in
check
there.
it out.
Go down there and hash it out, you know.
Right, without anybody who's feeling kind of vulnerable having to deal with it.
Right. You open up the room full of mice and the cats go in every now and then just to play with their food and then go back to normal cat town.
Yes. It's not overrun with vermin.
Mm-hmm.
Which YouTube trolls are definitely vermin.
I'm not going to disparage a fellow human being and call him vermin, but on the other hand, it's like attack helicopter. Well, you played that card before I did, so welcome to the sin bin.
Welcome to the role.
Yeah.
Now, yeah. Everybody's welcome in our community, Robert Madewell. It doesn't matter if you're not trans.
That's right.
We just as long as you're not a bigot. All right. What else did we have? I think that's all we had for the open panel. Unless anybody had something they wanted to touch on.
Can I talk more about queer and trans horror?
Yes, please.
Please.
Because it's one of my favorite things right now. Like, first of all, I like horror as a genre. It was something that I was always scared of growing up. But then when I left the Jehovah's Witnesses, I realized that the beliefs that I grew up with were way more horrific than anything that I could see on film. So I'm actually I have a hard time actually getting scared watching horror or reading horror, but I really enjoy it anyway. Especially the queer stuff when it's available.
Well, there was a couple of titles you mentioned to me when we were discussing your appearance, and they were Camp Damascus
Hmm.
and Bury Your Gaze.
Yeah, so those are both Chuck Tingle novels. Most people, if they know who Chuck Tingle is, they know him for something else, not queer horror fiction. They know him for his very imaginative erotica.
Adult, yeah.
But he also writes fantastic queer horror novels. And again, both I listened to on audiobook, and I got through them both in like a day or two each. Just whenever I was not actively doing anything, I was just listening to my audiobook like, oh. I'm sure it was very funny to watch my expressions while I'm listening. But so I'll give a quick synopsis of both titles because I highly recommend them both. If you're looking for some queer horror fiction to spice up your holiday season, as I like to do, those are both great titles. Camp Damascus is a story about a young person who has strange things start to happen to them, seemingly for no reason, but they are a in the closet young person in a very religious town. I would say it's kind of like a cult run town, essentially, because this Christian sect that they're a part of has such specific beliefs. I would kind of like say that they're kind of just their own little cult. But strange things start to happen to her. She lives in this town. I There's so little that I can say about the actual plot of this story without giving stuff away. That's important. But if you have left a religion because of your queerness, there's definitely some very moving moments in the book. There definitely were some for me that I found very relatable. And then Bury Your Gaze is about I believe he's a screenwriter, and he writes for this show, and the network's like, you gotta kill off your gay lead, you gotta kill off your leads. You can't have them be in a lesbian relationship and then not kill them off. Sorry. That's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. And he fights this and is basically just like, I'm not going to do that. And then some bad things start happening to him. Mysterious bad things. He starts meeting these strange creatures that I won't get into. Again, no spoilers. This is a spoiler-free review. But strange and unfortunate things start happening to him, and this one is I guess more political because it's it's talking about an adult in an adult's life, dealing with the media, dealing with queer representation in media, dealing with queer representation and capitalism and the effect that that has on the way that we're represented in media. Just a lot of really great commentary, and also it was just a great read. It sucked me in. Both are great reads. Chuck Tingle, great author.
I didn't know that about Chuck Tingle until you told me that. I thought, I'd always known the silly erotica that Chuck Tingle puts out, but
Yeah. He is a very cool dude. I would love to meet Chuck Tingle and be his best friend. He's a fellow queer autistic, and I fuck with that guy. I get him.
So this discussion is really, really interesting. If you haven't seen the next Netflix film that Laverne Cox did called Disclosure,
I haven't.
you should see it. It is a remarkable piece about how trans people have been portrayed by Hollywood, and it goes way back.
Now
Way
that is
back.
interesting. I would love to watch that. I love
And it's a
historical bit.
terrific piece. Absolutely. John Richards is in it. It's a documentary, and it's just wonderful. I think it came out like 2 or 3 years ago, and it's really, really good. You really need to watch it.
I certainly will. I do have some things I want to address with the panel when we're talking about queer horror, which is, for one thing, what do you consider to be like the trans horror of your youth or adulthood, if if that's more when you got into horror?
Is Steph going to say Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I mean,
well, but no, because that was comedy, and it really doesn't.
It
really
yeah.
doesn't fit. I don't know. Go ahead, Bree.
I always liked Carmela. Like, it's classic, but it's a vampire story. Like one of the first lesbian literary novels. So it's you can read a few different versions of it, and it's been made into movies a few times. So the story gets retold over and over again. It'd be kind of cool to see a trans version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Transpires.
Honestly, yeah, should be a thing.
Chuck Tingle, call me.
Transpire produced by one, please. I'd like that.
Right.
I don't
They
know.
inject
I can't,
estrogen.
I can't think of.
I am all for vampires. I'm for this. I would support this.
Yeah.
We are
I
pro
would
this.
approve that message.
I'm gonna keep one on hand. Give me an estrogen bite every time I need one. I know Amber's a big reader. What's your favorite queer horror?
Queer horror is oddly specific, actually. It's hard to find good stuff, you know? Aside from Manhunt, probably the best I can do off the top of my head is Wrath Goddess Sing, which it's not exactly horror, though there are elements of that. It's basically, for anybody who doesn't know, it's a retelling of I forget if it's the Iliad or the Odyssey, but the first one with the Trojan War. From Achilles' perspective, except Achilles actually is a trans woman. Like, Athena appears and goes, poof, you're a woman now.
And I want to say the horror genre has not been friendly to queer people. Being queer was always part of their villain. Was for most of the 20th century, it was part of their villain's character, right? And Dr. Frankenfurter was a funny version of that, but you have Norman Bates,
Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal Lecter, or Buffalo Bill from
Buffalo Bill. I don't know why I said Hannibal Lecter. You know what I meant? I meant Silence of the Lambs, Buffalo Bill.
Silence of the Lambs, Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a cross-dresser. So there's just an idea that something funny about you, you know, and
Dog Day Afternoon is another one that is in there, you know, which was all about the guy.
Well, I brought this up to the panel in the first place because I wanted to recommend a movie that I saw with my partner recently that was actually very trans-affirming horror film. And it wasn't explicitly about transness and transitioning, but the creator of it is trans and did mean it to be an allegory for transitioning. And me and my partner, watching it completely blind, had not seen any reviews for it, caught it immediately. We were like, "Oh, egg, is this that's trans? Like what that?
Yeah.
Like we're sitting on the couch, like that's trans.
That's what's being represented
trans.
here, yeah.
This is trans
Well,
media."
yeah.
But
But-
I mean, it's still allegorical enough that somebody who isn't trans could probably enjoy the film and the message of the film, even without relating it to transness specifically. But it's definitely a trans
horror.
allegory.
This isn't horror, but Left-Handed Jedi in the chat mentioned David Bowie starred in Nicholas Roeg's film The Man Who Fell to Earth, which hit me pretty hard because what was that character's name? Newton. That was the character that Bowie played, and he was an alien, and he fell to Earth, and he got trapped as a human. He couldn't
I
leave.
hate when that happens.
And
I did the same thing happened to me.
It was it really it was all critics didn't like it very much because it ran pretty long, but Bowie played it well, played the part really well, and it's the film, I think it came out in like the I was in Portland, so it came out right around 1978 or something. But it's a good film. It really is.
That's
It's
not
really
a
good
trans
film.
allegory. I don't know what is.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It honestly
So-
is. And of course, Bowie was like a pioneer of gender bending glam rock, sort of. And yeah, it's a good film.
So there was a movie called Sleepaway Camp that had a twist at the end where you find out that the killer is trans.
Oh God.
I remember hearing
Was
about
that
that.
like an
yeah.
important plot point?
It was a very important plot point because well, I'm not going to give you spoilers. It's a almost 50-year-old movie, but I actually cosplayed as the character because I'm a big horror cosplay person. I like slasher horrors, like cheesy, bloody, practical effects, Tom Savini, that kind of horror movie.
Okay, I'm backing away very slowly from the.
We're all like psychological horror, and you're just like, I want blood.
Yeah, I love practical effects. That's what I thought I wanted to do when I was a kid, was to be a special effects artist. But yeah, anyway, and actually, seeing myself in that cosplay helped reawaken, I should say, some teenage memories that really helps push me in the direction to come out. So it's a very transphobic movie.
Yeah, I
But
would imagine.
it's a product of its time. It's like all of them. You find out you find out Norman Bates is dressing up as his mom, and you find out whatever. But it's still a piece of queer media that shouldn't be forgotten. And the slasher genre has never been never held back its punches at vilifying any group. So I there is that, but the idea of the trans person as a villain is just something you can't escape. We should just do a whole series on that, Ember.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a
trans
lot of
villain
significance
archetype.
to that like the first step to being accepted as part of society is being acknowledged to exist. And even if that's as a villain, I mean, we see that in 19th century media, right? Like with freed slaves running amok in the north, and the Chinamen are seeking revenge, and the Irish are rebelling, and all the different subgroups.
But
They're
the actors
all
are just
horrible.
like,
Run,
we
be
got
afraid.
jobs.
Yeah, it's
Right.
it's so yeah. There's a lot of that all through, especially American history, but European history generally. Rudy, what was the movie that you were referring to earlier?
Oh, I totally forgot to even mention the name of it. It's I Saw the TV Glow is the name of the film.
Oh, that's
I
what
thought
you're
it
telling
might
me
be that.
about.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, it's been on my list for a while. I don't get to watch much stuff, but A24 does such a good job with movies. I'm like, Samantha
Oh,
Lux
you're an
talked about it
A24
like a
person.
year ago. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
mean that as like an
you
insult.
know,
I'm just like that squares with the rest of what I know about you.
Well, one thing we know about Ember is that Ember works early in the morning, and we've actually kept Ember over a little later than usual, but y'all got to talk. I knew this was going to stimulate her, and she was not going to be able to stop talking with you about this, Rudy. Once you brought these works of fiction up for attention.
Yeah. I can nerd all night, but I am going to turn into a pumpkin soon.
Yeah.
I mean, my voice is already down like 3 octaves from where it was earlier in the day.
But don't worry if you like Ember and you're here for Ember content, because there's like a whole, like, what is it, 28 minutes or something of Ember tonight. There's more Ember to come.
Yeah, good news is like 24 minutes, and then there's a new trans people in history today.
Right, and I'm going to break that up so the trans people in history will be parsed out. Now, Steph, myself, and Carly will definitely be back at the end of the show after our recorded segment with Ember, and our recorded segment with Carly. Are you coming back after your segment, Carly? All right. Rudy, you're welcome to stay. It's usually about an hour of recorded stuff. You don't have to, but we talk sports after this.
Oh God, I'm just kidding.
Really, we talk anything after this. Anything after this, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack. We usually unpack the show at the end, but yeah, you're welcome to stay.
I mean, the sports segment this week is about is more about politics than it's about sports this week.
Ember's got some politics too. We're in October.
Guess what?
Oh
yeah,
it's an election.
Yeah, we're in October of an election year.
Days.
Every show is going to be political from here forward, and we're left as hell. So,
one thing we are going to have though is once we figure out who the 2 teams for the World Series are going to be, we're going to have 3 trans women talking about the World Series.
There we go.
We're going to bring we've got to, because most likely if it's a Dodger Yankee World Series, we got a Dodger fan, a Yankee fan, and a person in me who hates both teams. So that'll be fun.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Not only am I not a sports person, but I also have a cold, as I probably have previously stated. So I'm probably going to take the early exit. But this has been super, super great. Yeah,
we're so glad to have you. And your insight on some of these works has been really enjoyable to listen to. So thank you for breaking that stuff down for us.
And my kitten showed up.
Oh my gosh, a kitten! We got to do the thing.
Yay!
Kitten! Yay! Woo! Hey, YouTube, pay attention. We got a cat. Oh,
He's just a baby. He's a sweetheart.
Really young, huh?
Yeah. He's just a few months old.
Kitty.
Kitty
cat. My kitty wants to see your kitty.
Oh, he smells so good. Why do you smell so good? Oh, you smell like my partner. That's why, because you've been sitting.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah. That'll do it. All right.
I don't
Well.
smell that yet. Okay, I'll put him down now.
Did you have a kitty sighting? Oh, Carly's got a kitty sighting for us.
Got a kitty.
Kitty.
I love how when you zoom back out, we're all like glued to our screen.
Yeah. Kitties went.
I love my Kirby. In fact, Kirby is a part of Transposition Sports tonight.
You'll be more Kirby later on too, so stick around for more Kirby.
Kirby, yeah. Kirby. It's part of Kirby's new contract. Kirby gets some FaceTime every week now.
There we go.
Well, we stand Kirby around here, so look at all the hearts we're getting in the. See, that's what I'm talking about. Remember I said about mashing that little heart button? YouTube loves that shit. They will. If people are out there watching this, smashing that heart button, YouTube's like, hey, whatever these people are doing at this point in time is great. And they're gonna come here and see your cats, and yeah, and YouTube loves cats. They're like, it's like their
Mhm.
favorite thing. So,
Hell yeah, hell
and
yeah.
trans people and cats are allies. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, we all knock shit off of every table.
All right. Well, Ember, I'm gonna say farewell and good night. I'll see you in probably the side chat while you lay there and watch the rest of the show anyway. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us, Rudy. We really did enjoy having you on. I hope you'll be willing to come back sometime in the future to do another segment. We'd be happy to have you on as a returning correspondent. So
thank you so much. You gals are a great time. I knew you would be because I'm vaguely familiar, at least with all of you. So I was like, this will be fun.
Yeah,
Vagueness is my specialty.
Well, I used to use the word enigmatic to describe staff.
Yes.
Enigmatic. All right. Well, let's move. We're gonna move right along. First, we're gonna move right into Ember's segment, though. So yeah, if you want more Ember, you got it. It's coming up right now, and and we will be back with you in just a moment.
That was fun.
Now, trans people in history.
Marcus Aurelius Antoninus, better known as Elagabalus, ruled the Roman Empire for just 4 years, from 218 until being assassinated in 222. A Roman senator of the time, Cassius Dio, wrote in his historical chronicles that the emperor was married 5 times. 4 times to women, and once to a freed slave and chariot driver. In this final marriage, Dio wrote that the emperor, quote, was bestowed in marriage and was termed wife, mistress and queen. She is written to have commanded, "Call me not lord, for I am a lady." She won the throne by conquest, her predecessor having had the Senate declare the entire empire at war with her family. At 14 years old, she took control of an imperial legion, subverted another, and defeated the sitting emperor at Antioch, who fled, and was run down and executed. As emperor, she continued to serve as head priest of the cult of Elagabal, an Arabian sun god. In 220, she installed Elagabal as chief deity of the Roman pantheon, supplanting Jupiter, declaring herself highest priest of the unconquered sun. However, she did incorporate the existing Roman beliefs into the new imperial faith, proposing the sun god taking various goddesses as consort. She also had a temple constructed for her god, added an artifact of meteorite from her home in Syria as a representative of the divine from heaven, and absconded with artifacts from several existing temples to connect her god to the others. She got away with it and averted public outrage by adding a festival to the calendar in high summer, which involved free food and drink. She also performed religious rites considered queer and foreign to the relatively conservative Romans, and had a penchant for prostituting herself, always while presenting as feminine. She was officially erased from history by the Senate following her assassination by the Imperial Praetorian Guard, even statues of her being recarved to resemble other people, but has risen to the modern zeitgeist owing to her intense desire for gender-affirming medical care. She is said to have offered fortunes and titles to any physician that could alleviate her gender dysphoria, a struggle trans people today know all too well. Councillor Keith Hoskins, executive member for Enterprise and Arts at North Arts Council, said, quote, "We know that Elagabalus identified as a woman and was explicit about which pronouns to use, which shows that neither gender identity or preferred pronouns are new things."
Good news, everyone! Tonight, trans politicians in Hawaii and Brazil and Ohio, a big brand bids for a trans-positive comeback, and more. Good news starts right now. Every week, we lead off good news with a trans or ally creator you may not have heard about. And this week, the spotlight goes to a friend of the channel, Purple Rhymes with Orange. Streaming live every Wednesday, her Mid-America Chats features an array of voices, especially trans people, discussing a variety of topics in a welcoming and inclusive environment. Additionally, she spearheads an annual holiday 48-hour mega stream spanning dozens of channels to ensure every community member has somewhere to go and new creators to meet, for those of us who can't be with friends or family IRL. Beyond all that, she's just a wonderful person and has more cleverness in her little finger than some highly paid comedians ever manage in their entire careers. Find her channel and join the fun at youtube.com/@purplerhymeswithorange. If it feels like there's a surge in trans people in politics, you may be right. Here are 3 stories about trans people standing the fuck up and using their voices. Meet Hawaii's first trans lawmaker, Kim Koko Iwamoto. From Karina Estrada. Kim Koko Iwamoto made history as Hawaii's first transgender House representative, marking a significant moment for both the state and the LGBTQ community. In a closely watched primary election in August, Iwamoto, a Democrat and longtime LGBTQ rights advocate, unseated fellow Democrat Sat Saki, the state House Speaker since 2017, to claim the 25th district seat. The district covers Honolulu and Kaka'akau, areas with rapid development in recent years. Her victory represents a significant shift in the district, with voters opting for a candidate who champions progressive reforms. Born on the island of Kauai in 1968, Iwamoto's deep ties to Hawaii have shaped her career in activism. She attended several schools before graduating from high school in 1986. After college, she moved to New York, where she became involved in grassroots community work, focusing on helping homeless LGBTQ youth. This experience inspired her to pursue a legal education, and she later completed a government program at Harvard in 2011. Iwamoto went on to serve on the Hawaii State Board of Education, representing Oahu, becoming the highest-ranking openly transgender elected official in the United States at that time. Iwamoto's campaign emphasized a platform of progressive values, key priorities centered on addressing Hawaii's homelessness crisis, exposing corruption within the government, and supporting small businesses. She has long been an advocate for those who feel left behind by the state's growing economy, particularly in areas where housing costs have soared. As Hawaii continues to grapple with housing shortages, affordability issues, and infrastructure challenges, Iwamoto's experience as both an attorney and a former school board member uniquely positions her to bring practical solutions to these pressing issues. With her election, Iwamoto not only breaks barriers for the transgender community, but also sends a message about the power of representation and progressive leadership in Hawaii's political landscape. Next up, Brazil sees a surge of transgender candidates amid rising political risks. From Outlook, Brazil is witnessing a record number of transgender politicians running for office, with nearly 1,000 candidates campaigning across all 26 states in this year's elections. This is a significant increase, with the number of trans candidates tripling compared to the last local elections. For the first time, Brazil's electoral court is monitoring these candidates, reflecting a growing demand for transgender rights and representation. One of the candidates is Beni Brioli, a city councilwoman who proudly walks through a favela campaigning in a white dress. Brioli is one of the many transgender politicians who are committed to bringing change despite the dangers they face. Quote, "Our bodies are revolutionary," she said. Running for office as a transgender person in Brazil comes with some serious risks. Brazil has the highest rate of transgender murders in the world, with 100 reported killing last year, according to Transgender Europe. Many trans candidates face frequent threats. Brioli alone has received over 700 death threats, some of which include her home address, warning her that she might end up like Marielle Franco, an LGBT advocate murdered in 2018. The violence has escalated in recent years, with trans candidates being directly attacked. In one terrifying incident, Leonora Aquila, a city council candidate in Sao Paulo, was nearly killed when a gunman fired at her after ramming her car. Since then, she has stopped in-person campaigning, overwhelmed by anxiety and fear. Transphobia in Brazil was fueled during the presidency of Jair Bolsonaro, a far-right leader whose harsh rhetoric worsened discrimination against trans people. Even though Bolsonaro lost the 2022 election, the environment of intolerance remains, putting trans candidates at continued risk. Despite the hostility that many candidates face in Brazil, some are making significant strides. Duda Salibert made history in 2022 by becoming one of the first transgender women elected to Brazil's lower house of Congress. Now she is campaigning for the position of mayor in Belo Horizonte, aiming to become the first transgender mayor of a major Latin American city. Trans candidates are standing strong in their pursuit of representation and equality, even amid the threats and violence. Brioli, reflecting on the broader impact of her efforts, stated, quote, "When a black trans woman moves, she moves the whole of society." Their candidacies show a new wave of hope for change, even in the face of fear. Despite Ohio's intense anti-trans efforts lately, even the Buckeyes are seeing a boom in representative representation. As previously reported, Ohio recently passed a law designed to prevent trans people from running for public office by adding hurdles for anyone who has changed their name in the previous few years. This hilariously backfired on a GOP candidate who had executed a name change recently, but several trans candidates managed to navigate the obstacle course and are still in the running. From WCMH. Transgender candidates running for the Ohio State House, who were nearly disqualified from the ballot, say they are not letting their identities define them as they campaign on bipartisanship and an end to extremism. Ariane Childrey is on the trail in and around Salina as the Democratic nominee for the Ohio House's 84th district, And Ari Faber is running near Marietta as the Democratic nominee for the Ohio Senate's 30th district. Although the two are running separate campaigns more than 200 miles apart, both said they are combating false perceptions of the trans community by running on bipartisan solutions for issues like housing reform and access to health care. Childry said, quote, "I'm happy to be the trans candidate, but there's a lot more to who I am. I'm ready to put in the time for the people of Ohio and to show them that, for once, the most corrupt legislature in the country can be cleaned up, can be fixed, and we can have people who actually care." Childry was nearly disqualified from the ballot for not including her dead name, or the name a trans person was assigned at birth, on petition paperwork. Meanwhile, Faber will appear on the ballot under his dead name since he has not legally changed his name. He said, quote, "We're trying to emphasize my last name. Either way, I don't care at all that much. I'm really focused on policy points I want to talk about and the things I want to do for our communities." Childry's opponent is Republican Representative Angie King, whom Childry says is, quote, "representing a very, very narrow faction of Ohio's 84th district who want to see the state house tackle culture war issues." She pointed to King's sponsorship of House Bill 245 to ban adult cabaret performances, which opponents say would amount to a prohibition of drag queens existing in public. Quote, "What she is doing is really appealing to the lowest common denominator," Childry said. "She's trying to hit onto these culture war battles that aren't doing anything to improve anybody's day-to-day life." King, who did not reply to a request for comment, said during a State House hearing that she's pursuing legislation like HB 245 because she saw a video on the internet of a pride event where a drag queen was dancing. Childry said that comments like that are why she decided to pursue a run for the State House, and argued she would be a better steward who would, quote, "put the people of this district above petty party politics." The candidate said King is, quote, "the most extreme of the party," and outlined a number of issues she would prioritize if she wins election, like uplifting union jobs and investing in public education. Quote, "As a trans candidate, that may be my identity, but my identity is also somebody who is really, really sick of seeing our public schools drained. That's what I want to bring to the state legislature. I want to show people that we can work, and I want to inspire people to say that we can step up." King has also introduced House Bill 471, which would make it easier to question a candidacy like Childry's. Childry said it's up to her generation to find solutions for these problems and to show those in the GSM community that, quote, "even in the most red district of Ohio, people can stand up and fight back." Faber, who is running against Republican Senator Brian Chavez, touts a similar message. The 29-year-old argues Chavez prioritizes his own gain, noting the senator's multiple oil and gas companies. One is Deep Rock Disposal Solutions, which came under fire this year after records showed the company had leached brine, a toxic liquid byproduct of fracking, underground in Noble County. On several occasions since 2010, brine burst to the surface through other oil companies' oil and gas wells, with one instance requiring $1.3 million for cleanup, which was paid by the state. Chavez was appointed by Governor Mike DeWine to sit on the state's Oil and Gas Commission in 2021 and serve there until Republicans named Chavez to the Senate in 2023. Quote, "We have companies and people coming in from out of the region to strip us of our natural resources, and then they leave and take all that money with them," Faber said. Chavez is an oil and gas man who has only ever sponsored legislation about oil and gas to his own benefit. Quote, "As a legislator, my sole focus is to fight every day to ensure the people of Southeast Ohio have good paying jobs, a quality education, improved infrastructure, and increased opportunities. By achieving these things, we can help make it possible for future generations to thrive and prosper, not somewhere else, but right here in Ohio." Faber argues he could better platform these issues as a pro-labor, pro-family, and pro-freedom candidate who, like Childry, wants to uplift union jobs if elected to the State House. Faber also noted his passion for protecting gender-affirming care, especially after an Ohio law went into effect this year banning the treatment for trans youth. Faber also said that he is grateful to be an out trans candidate, especially when the legislature is pursuing several anti-LGBTQ+ proposals. One bill would prohibit schools from allowing trans students to use a bathroom. Another would require teachers to notify parents before teaching any sexuality content and of any change in a student's mental, emotional, or physical health. Quote, I've had parents and teenagers that are trans reach out to me saying how grateful they are that I'm running. If I can give a little bit of hope to even just one trans kiddo out there, then it all will have been worth it. While the prospects of these two winning election are promising, there are additional trans candidates running in Ohio this year, including Bobby Arnold, the Democratic nominee for the Ohio House's 40th district, and Vanessa Joy running for the House's 50th district, whose name was removed from the ballot by vote of the Board of Elections, but is still appealing and could conceivably run as a write-in candidate. However these races turn out, the fact that trans candidates are running in one of the most aggressively hostile states to GSM community members in the United States this year is itself a major victory. And now, following up with more on the trans pastor from Bree's story last week. Meet Reverend Drew Stever, a Lutheran pastor who is openly trans, using his pulpit to advocate for inclusion. You know, like Jesus. From the Daily Mail of all places. A California-based transgender Lutheran pastor said the Bible wasn't written for 2024 and intends to make a more inclusive ministry for the LGBTQ community. Ordained minister Drew Stever, an openly trans man, works at the America's Hope Lutheran Church in Hollywood. He says the notion that God created two genders that are clearly defined in the Bible is outdated. Quote, it's hard to relate it to a modern day time because it wasn't written for 2024. It was written for then. We need to read the scripture that God created man and woman, yes, and God created everyone else as well. Stever and his partner Hazel live with their 3 children and 2 dogs in Southern California. He told CBS News that he lives an average life. Quote, we play board games, we garden, we make art, and we remind the kids 12 times to pick up their socks in their bedrooms. Stever was raised Lutheran in Minneapolis and went to Catholic school, going to church several days a week. He said growing up, he dealt with anger and depression stemming from gender dysphoria. The pastor's call to serve came from a homeroom teacher who introduced him to a different theology that was accepting of everyone. When Stever came out of seminary in 2016, he began his transition. He said, there was a moment where I woke up in the morning and the words that came to my mind were, you don't have to be angry anymore. He said in that moment, it felt like God was speaking to him, and he received support from his loved ones during his transition, but had to deal with hate online. His partner Hazel is also an ordained minister. She said she's also felt discrimination from participating in the inclusive church, since many in the Christian faith don't believe women can even be pastors. When asked if Stever felt the Lutheran Church was a safe place for trans people, he said, quote, it's trying so hard. In 2015, the ELCA ordained its first transgender priests, which opened the door for others to step into spiritual roles. But the acceptance of trans clergy has been slow across Christian denominations. 68% of Protestants and 51% of Catholics believe that a person's gender is defined at birth, according to a study by Pew Research. Trans clergy serve in Methodist, Episcopal, and Presbyterian churches, but most Christian denominations forbid trans people from donning the collar, based on an interpretation of the book of Genesis from the Bible. Last month, Stever noticed that some of the bigotry and hatred found online had been making its way into the real world. In September, he posted on Facebook condemning vandalism of pride flags outside the church. He wrote, quote, "One person's small worldview will not stop our commitment to love, justice, and empowering the disempowered. If there's ever a time for it, now is the time to educate ourselves about the differences of others so that we stop moving from a place of fear and causing harm and moving to a place of curiosity and building community." Victoria's Secret has been both criticized and praised for the way in which the brand frames women, depending on who you talk to and which controversy they're referring to. Their iconic fashion show, for instance, was canceled in 2019, and the reasons why are hotly debated. Some say it was because the ratings were down, dropping to a still respectable 3 million viewers. Others note that the then COM made some disparaging remarks about the beauty potential for plus-size women and trans women, while rival fashion shows were upping their inclusive values. That exec suddenly resigned shortly after that, it should be noted. Others pointed to the CEO's links to Epstein. Certain groups even opined that the show promoted cruelty to animals, requiring millions of feathers to craft the iconic angel wings that were the show's hallmark. However, in the years since, the brand has put in effort to reform its image. An ambassador program based on personal qualities rather than looks replaced the fashion show in 2019, and the company has been aggressively marketing a pro-plus-size message as well as training staff to be GSM friendly. These efforts have been fairly successful, as Victoria's Secret is now the most frequently recommended go-to for newly transitioned people who need to procure upper undergarments for the first time, and is a solid contender in weight-conscious circles as well. Now VS is about to revive the fashion show, with all the issues of the past theoretically resolved. While just 5 years ago, senior execs were saying T-slurs could never be angels, and there was no viewer interest in seeing plus-size girls strut, this new incarnation of the heavenly host promises to feature both. Even the animal rights folks were included in the preparations. This year's wings will be made from 100% artificial feathers. Catherine Malloy, a manager of creative development with Vogue, said, quote, "Even with all its flaws, the old Victoria's Secret fashion show always felt like a celebration of women. Nothing about these models walking down the runway in drag-esque lingerie looks gave 'this is for men.'" Last month, Victoria's Secret recruited Hilary Super, a former CEO of Savage X Fenty, a brand whose shows are famous specifically for inclusion of models of all sizes, as well as trans and non-binary casting. With an all-girl performance lineup, OG Tyra Banks returning as host, and the promise of a new, more diverse cast bringing back the old angelic glamour, this show may be the chance so many in the GSM community have dreamed of, to see people like us included in a diverse group of top-tier cultural significance, featured as beautiful. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe. TransPositions Weekly is the first and only trans news show in the universe, and we need your support to grow the shows we can offer. Join Patreon if you can. Spread the word all over social media to let people know we're here, and tell us what stories matter to you by joining the community on Discord. Hit like and leave a comment. Discord, of course, is where the memes live, and our meme of the week was posted by yours truly. And if you would rather be happy than rich but evil, join us. Also, if you have good news concerning trans people you'd like to see reported on, you can tell us about that in the Discord as well. For the TransPositions, I've been Ember Belrab.
Hello, and welcome to Transpositions Weekly. I'm just going to take just a few minutes of your time tonight to tell you about something that happened just last Friday. That was right after right after we did the show. I was so sad I had to wait a whole week and sit on this thing, but people have been talking about it. It's really fun stuff. But nobody's been talking about it more than the turfs themselves. And the queen of the turfs, if they had a queen, is a woman named Kelly J. Keene, or Posey Parker. And we've talked about her multiple times before on this show, but recently she went on this talk show with Julia Hartley Brewer, and she's kind of she's a full-on raging transphobe as well. So make no doubt about it. Oh, need some sound. Hold on.
In my view, that trans activists, not trans people, not people who identify as being the opposite gender of what they actually are, trans activists.
So you got nothing against trans people, but you want to start off. I'm going to stop this like every second, I guess, because you're just cool with with what they actually are, what my gender actually is as a woman. That's my gender.
Activists are actually misogynists. They hate women, and also they largely also are homophobic as well. They hate gay people. They hate the identity of people who actually just are very open and honest about, well, actually, you know what, gay rights and trans rights, very, very different things. And it's never been more
all tethered together because we've all been forced to be in a closet. So there's a reason why pride is pride, and why the LGBTQ community has the T and the Q in there. There's a reason. I know you don't like it, but there's a reason.
More obvious than what happened on Friday when we saw the LGB Alliance, the Lesbian, Gay and Bi Alliance, their annual conference was disrupted by activists who turned up and threw thousands of bugs into the auditorium, meaning they had to move to it stayed in the same venue, but had to move to a different room as crickets and cockroaches and other bugs flew around. But also, again,
they didn't fly around. Well, as far as I know, it's just cockroaches and crickets from what I can see here. But this is how protest works. But just listen to the way this is being framed.
As always, yet again, at so many of these Let Women Speak events organised by the fabulous Kelly J. Keene, this time
the fabulous Kelly J. Keene,
the home of the suffragette Emily Davison, turning up in their balaclavas and their masks with their loud hailers, shouting down at women. Let's talk about.
Now let's look at what we got here, because they're going to make some claims about this crowd too, and I wanted to get a good look at this crowd and who you see here, because they're going to describe them.
This with the one and only Kelly J. Keene, who joins us now. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Doris. Let's talk about what happened at your event. I mean, you do this all the time. You do these events, you just turn up, bunch of women talking about...
You turn up, people throw soup on you. It's a good time. Everybody has fun.
Basically just women talking about the importance of women's sex-based rights and safety. And virtually every time, whether it's Hyde Park or the home of Emily Davison, men, largely, large male activists turn up and try and shout you down. What happened?
Look at all these large male activists over here. Aren't they all large males? Oh my goodness.
They do. Well, they turn up, and look, I'm not going to lie, they do amuse me. And I know some women find it off-putting and intimidating, and so they don't come. So there's a very serious side to what they do.
Yeah.
Because they
If you watch the beginning of the show, there's spoilers here, but
do intend to stop women from speaking, but they really don't send their best.
They're not the sharpest tools in the box, are they?
No, they don't even have rhyming slogans or chants, which...
Oh, no rhyming slogans or chants. These trans rights activists, she thinks they're not too sharp.
I just find it very funny. It turns me into some sort of stand-up comedian when I'm faced with them. But the very serious point is that there are people that won't come. They also try... I mean, somebody brought their children on that side to come and shout at middle-aged women, which I thought was so inappropriate. And it's often men, and...
Oh my goodness! Nobody cares if it's you think it's inappropriate to bring your kids to some kind of event like that.
And they genuinely want to stop women from
What was
speaking.
that?
And what was
What did you just say?
particularly only want to stop, and it's often men, and
They're often men. Let's stick a pin in that.
and they genuinely want to stop women from speaking. And what was particularly bad yesterday is they seemed to be very, very loud when women were telling the most vulnerable of stories, because we get a plethora of stories. We get incredible poems and speeches. And then sometimes we get very, very personal and painful stories. And they seem to think that that was the most appropriate time to say the most vile things.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Again, it's simply women speaking. You're not sort of trying to trample on trans peoples or the activists. You're just saying we just want to have our say.
Okay, I'm not here to listen to you, Julie, but yeah, what are you standing on? I don't even know who you are. What are you backing your opinion on? I know who Kelly is.
They Let Women Speak is the organization.
That's the reason why they're protesting, because you don't let women speak. You call yourself Let Women Speak, and then you exclude a certain demographic of women. That's why people are protesting you, because you're segregationist.
And they literally trying to stop you speaking with the megaphones, turning up. Very intimidating. I've seen a lot of these videos, often quite big blokes with the balaclavas and the masks. I don't know why they feel the need to cover their faces. You're not ashamed of what your views are. You don't cover your face. But often being very aggressive. And we've seen numerous videos at Hyde Park Corner, at Speaker's Corner, where
often aggressive.
Women are being jostled, and frankly, the police have not acted soon enough. Very intimidatory behaviour.
Pay attention to how Julia, especially Julia, is trying to spin this and make sure that everybody knows that these were big men with boxes of cockroaches that they were flinging at people.
And you yourself have been, a victim of this repeatedly. And no one seems to stop them. But I mean, what they demand is that you say only one thing, which is that trans women are women. Why do you think that?
Nobody's demanding you say that at all. They're saying that if you're going to have a organization called Let Women Speak, that you should let all women speak and not segregate a certain group of women that you disagree with about who they are, essentially.
I think they are so needy about needing you to say something which you don't believe, and frankly, that you and I and everybody saying knows is not true.
Well, because quasi-religious cults are very, very fragile, and so they need complete adherence. And if you deviate...
That's why you can't have like 6 people standing outside protesting, because you need a complete adherence. I get it. Yeah, gender critical cult mentality. Gotcha.
At all, if you question any of it. And I got into this by saying, does my 11-year-old daughter have the right to go in a female-only space and not see an adult appendage, male appendage?
Say the word penis. Anyway, wait a minute. Do you not do your daily check on whether
these people? They're. I don't plan on going into a changing room or toilet or anything and see anybody's genitals at all. That's not what I'm there for. That's what most people are there for. They make it weird. They create scenarios in their brains and then they get mad about them.
And whether or not you've got one, because Keir Starmer says some of us have got one.
I've only got them in the kitchen. Rest of the house, we don't have it. But yeah, it's mind-blowing that they think the way that we're going.
And the reason I'm playing this whole thing is I don't want you to think I'm misframing this, like I'm making some nonsense up.
Going to convince women to allow us in our spaces, and we had one of the Darlington nurses who's currently serving NHS to have a female-only space in a changing room. But the way we're going to convince those women is go and shout at them and scream at them in a park. And then they'll say, oh, by goodness, yes, of course you should come in.
Yeah. It's almost like there was a reason why we didn't want men in changing rooms and toilets.
They're not men. Trans women are women. Stop being weird. Why you gotta make it weird? You don't get to police what type of genitals the women going into the bathroom have. You don't get to look at the scope out and make sure everybody's up to your snuff to say they can go in there and and relieve themselves. I'm sorry, Julia. It's just not something within your power.
And refugees with us. I can't work it out. But again, this all ties in. Again, they're also homophobic. And again, we know, trans activists insisting that, that lesbian women, by definition, women, that they should be forced to have sex, have relationships with.
Nobody was forcing anybody to have relationships with. Oh my goodness. What a crazy spin! And I gotta punctuate how much of a spin they're putting on
men who identify as if they're women because otherwise they're transphobic. But then we saw the LGB conference on Friday, the LGB Alliance conference, disrupted with people throwing bugs. I mean, that's virtually sort of terrorism. I mean, that is a blatantly
terrorism. Throwing bugs is terrorism.
Openly homophobic act. And yet everyone just kind of shrugs and doesn't.
There was nothing homophobic about the Let Women Speak. So unless you're saying the Let Women Speak event is strictly for cis het women, which I think are not cis, not het, cis queer women. That's I don't think that that's the case. I don't believe that that should be the case. If you're going to use the title "Let Women Speak," that's why there's protesters there.
Doesn't think it's a big deal. If a gay group or a women's group did that to a trans conference, all hell would break out.
Well, this is what happens when you're actually just a group of heterosexual entitled men leading the sort of
heterosexual entitled men. Right.
Activists. They're predominantly heterosexual men, and they just want
keep that in mind.
A little bit of that oppression.
They're just very angry men. I think they're more scared of us than angry at us. That's just sort of just give them a nice cup of tea. Poor things, poor dears, intimidated by.
Yeah, it's all men, angry men. Keep that in mind.
Little old you. Kelly J. King, you keep up the great work, my love, founder of Let Women Speak. I'll let Claire speak now.
I think that is absolutely brilliant.
I'm not going to listen to Claire. We're not going to worry about what Claire has to say. I want to go through here and look at this description of the people. Okay. Yeah, it remains unclear. One of said saboteurs was apprehended by. Oh, hold on. I gotta switch screen I'm sharing. Give me just a second. We're gonna move through these. I'm gonna try and move through them rather quickly. So, yeah. So this one, yeah. The culprits have been detained, and there were 2 in the main auditorium, which I saw, who basically set off a horde of locusts at a gay rights event. I guess it is a gay rights event, I suppose, in a way. It's more of a trans exclusion event, though. I mean, at its core. Now, there's some things said in here that kind of raised some flags for me. And I wanted to run them by you guys and see what you think. Where were they? I had it highlighted, and then of course I did. I clicked away from it. Yeah, police were immediately informed, and at least one of the saboteurs was apprehended. No further details of the perpetrators are available at this time. And then, yeah, absolutely vile is what they're calling it. 4 protesters were reported to have been have released a number of insects inside the venue. They were detained by security and escorted from the premises by appropriate adults. So when you're talking about something like this happening, right, and you're describing a crime that happened or something of this nature, and you say they're waiting for adults, that's to me that implies that you're talking about children. But they were hulking men. They assured us that these were hulking men. Let me see. So then we have, that was like the most one-sided reporting I found. I just wanted to give the perspective that they were offering up for that, and then to get the Telegraph here also explaining what allegedly happened, and then this report, a little more information leaks out, and let me find my spot. Yeah. I didn't see them do it, but I saw a couple of very young looking, quite agitated people around 16 or 17 run out. Yeah, these were children. There were children doing this. Let's enjoy anyway. Well, this is the people cleaning them up with their vacuums and such. But what? Yeah. So who did this then, right? Well, them, who I've been leaning on more and more for cutting edge reporting. So keep up the good work, all the writers over at them. Youth activists released thousands of live crickets at anti-trans conference in London. And there's the crickets all hopping and jumping around. An anti-trans advocacy group known as LGB Alliance reportedly had its annual conference interrupted by thousands of unexpected guests on Friday in London, the guest being an orchestra of crickets. Journalist Michael Baggs posted a video of the incident on X, writing, "Someone released a box of crickets in the LGB Alliance conference hall. Alexa, play Despacito." Warning, scroll no further if you have entomophobia. Yeah, if you're afraid of bugs, because I'm going to play this too. Let's watch that. Terrorism, I say.
Huge apologies to any animal rights activists and vegans. Just kill the buggers.
I don't say don't smash them because I'm an insect advocate. I eat these things, okay? I eat crickets. I'm a weirdo. So no. But you don't smash crickets because it releases a death pheromone. A very pungent death pheromone. You ever been around a cricket keeper? There's a reason why most people don't keep the crickets in their house if they can keep them out in an outbuilding or in a shed or something, because when you have crickets, I have crickets because I have stuff, but spiders and such, but I don't often use crickets. I prefer roaches personally as a feeder, but I digress. But crickets, if you've ever been around crickets, you'll notice they smell like the containers and stuff smell really bad because the dead ones release a death pheromone that's really pungent. It smells like a bait shop, which I guess is the idea here. But the excuse me, the LGB Alliance was founded in 2019 as a trans exclusionary alternative to Stonewall, the largest LGBTQ plus advocacy organization in Europe. Anti-trans activist Jamie Reed was reportedly about to speak when the bugs were dumped, according to the tweet. Reed was a former caseworker at Washington University Transgender Center who has since pivoted to becoming a whistleblower, speaking out about the supposed harm of gender-affirming care for youth. And Washington University Transgender Center, that's in St. Louis. And they got bomb threats and all kinds of nonsense because of Jamie Reed. The conference also hosted an open. Yeah, they're talking about, this is terrorism. Literal terrorists are complaining about, the stochastic terrorists are complaining about terrorism. Jamie Reed, yeah. The conference was also hosted an opening message by none other than the Mother Turf, J.K. Rowling, who was met with applause when she stated during her remarks that lesbians don't have penises. The anti-trans author has since taken to X condemning the noble cricket soldiers. Did any of those releasing insects in an attempt to sabotage the Alliance LGB conference have a split second of sanity in which they thought, am I in fact proving to every gender critical or every critic of gender identity identity no, I didn't mess that up. Identity ideology. She didn't put like a, it should be like a slash there. Aren't you a writer? If you're going to put it that way, it should be gender identity slash ideology, right? I mean, am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. I digress. Is trying to disrupt a meeting of gay people a tad homophobic? Ma'am, these crickets are allies. So, yeah, JK's new profile pics where she's learned how to rub Vaseline on her lens so you can't see her black mold. It appears that the activists behind the cricket chaos are Trans Kids Diverse Better, a UK trans rights group. On Instagram, the group posted a satirical video of someone in a cricket costume reporting the breaking news of the incident. Our sources on this. Oh, no, we're going to let them say it. Yeah. We're going to watch this. Hold on. I got to switch screens again. There we go. All right.
Masquerade as charity and claim to cause no harm. Opposing a conversion therapy ban that will protect trans children and holding proud speeches about shutting down trans healthcare, who are they helping? With these crickets deciding to fight this harmful transphobia, many bugs are standing up for trans kids' rights now, antennae held up high. We at Cricket News have received intelligence about a group of crickets that have successfully interrupted the transphobic hate group LGB Alliance's yearly conference. Our sources at the scene tell us that the talk by Jamie Lee on taking away trans healthcare was stopped by these brave bugs, with thousands of six-legged friends hopping about in protest. LGBT Alliance masquerade as charity and claim to cause no harm, with opposing a conversion therapy ban that will protect trans children and holding proud speeches about shutting down trans healthcare, who are they helping? With these crickets deciding to fight this harmful transphobia, many bugs are standing up for trans kids' rights now, antennae held up high.
So that's our hulking trans rights activist right there. Did you see them? They're terrifying. Did you see how scary they were? And you can see who's in part of this organization, right? You can go to their that's from Trans Kids Deserve Better. Yeah, you can go to their feed and they have pictures of members of their organization. These are the hulking men right here. Look at these hulking men. Look at them all. Aren't they hulking? Look how hulking these kids are. Have you ever seen a more intimidating lot of youth with their colored hair and rainbow bandanas? Roving street gangs, I say. But as Carly mentioned earlier in the show, and I'm going to reiterate right now, I stand with these kids and what they're doing. Keep up the good work. Good pie in the face is the way that they toppled Anita Bryan and her campaign against the acceptance of openly gay people in society. Right? So a good pie in the face, a good box of crickets, a good can of soup. Often is the tool of the protester, and no one gets hurt in those situations for the most part, except for the crickets that they were squishing. But that's their own damn fault. You don't squish crickets. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows you don't start squishing them. The stink is yeah, but not my place to tell them how to do their thing. They were trying to clean it up. Brooms and leaf blowers would have been a better option than squishing them. Leaf blowers would have been the best option towards the door. But or probably towards the door. I would say towards the door. Just blow them outside. That would have been your best option. Instead they vacuumed them and stomped on them and smashed them. And yeah, so they had to switch. They had to switch the venue. They had to switch which room they were in. Anyway, enough rambling about that and about that event. This has been Bree with Transpositions Weekly, and we will see you next week. All right, and I'm gonna pass things over to, I believe we got Carly up next.
Seconds remaining in the fourth quarter of game 3. 4 seconds. Ionescu will heave and hit and hit. Sabrina Ionescu.
Can we talk about the WNBA Finals? Can we talk about buzzer beaters? Can we say thank you, Sabrina Ionescu? Clock running down, and she fires the shot that made everyone, at least the Liberty fan, quite joyous. Liberty 80, Link 77, 2-1 lead in the finals. And for long-suffering New York Liberty fans like myself, who's been a fan from the rip, one more game and that Simeon is off all our backs. Finally, a WNBA championship, and it's right there for the taking. One more game, we finish it off. To quote Droopy Dog, you know what? I'm happy. This is Transposition Sports. I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb, and yes, New York Liberty fan since Rebecca Lobo first graced the court back in '97, and I can tell you, quite pleased, quite happy. But I'm not happy about the continuing situation in college volleyball. The Mountain West forfeit crisis has grown this week. Players for the University of Nevada, according to the conservative sports website Outkick, voted on Monday that they will not play in the scheduled October 26th match against San Jose State University, again caught in the hysteria over San Jose State allegedly having a player who is a transgender woman on their team. Never mind that the NCAA already has rules on this, assuming that she is trans. Again, the player in question has not announced her gender identity in any regard, even though she's played NCAA Division I college volleyball for 3 seasons now. The interesting plot twist is what the University of Nevada, Reno is actually saying. The university said in a statement that the views of the players are not those of the university and that the game will go on as scheduled October 26th. Now, here's the question. How is that going to happen if none of the players want to play? Because what's been reported is most of the players do not want to play. You know something? I'd like to give the University of Nevada and their athletic department an idea. Since a number of players, including some of their top players, have already said they won't play on October 26th, I say fine. Now, those players have a game scheduled for Thursday night. They play at Boise State. What they need to see is their athletic director meet them when they get off the plane. After that athletic director has put up a full-page ad in the Nevada Sagebrush, the independent campus student-run newspaper there, with saying this: all students who are interested in playing Division I women's volleyball for the University of Nevada, please be at Virginia Street Gym at 6 a.m. Saturday morning for a tryout session. And when those players get off that plane or that bus or however they travel to Boise, the athletic director would meet them and say simply, you have till 6 a.m. Saturday morning to tell me whether you're playing October 26th. If you're not, your jersey will be worn by somebody who's probably playing dorm volleyball or someone who played high school volleyball and figured their career is over. They're going to get a second bite of the apple in your uniform. And that will start with their next match coming up on October 24th against Fresno State. Now, some people will ask, what happens to the players who are already on scholarship? Well, the scholarships are still good till the end of the year. Remember, NCAA scholarships are not 4-year deals, they're year-to-year deals. So you would still get to keep your scholarship. All the players that we bring in to replace you would be walk-ons. But we would give a guarantee to all those players that come next fall, if you're an underclassman, you will get the opportunity to earn a scholarship. Now, the players who are currently on scholarship or on the team, we let them know you've got two choices. You either, one, if you choose to play at this university, understand that you are not guaranteed a scholarship next year. You will really have to come back and earn it. Your other option is you can always hit the transfer portal. Personally, we kind of hope you hit the portal. Hashtag just saying. We really don't want those who are for exclusion and bigotry wearing our navy blue and silver at the University of Nevada. That is what I would like to see. And there's a way you could do it and galvanize an entire campus and also send a message that we will not be blackmailed by people who are trying to sell an anti-trans agenda and can't tell you that openly, because that's what's really been happening through all these forfeits. The University of Nevada has the opportunity to do what a lot of universities, the Mountain West Conference, and the NCAA haven't done. Stand with some fortitude. On the other side, there's a question. I have a question for San Jose State's administration. Why is Brooke Slusser, the captain and team setter who's gone on Outkick and Breitbart and all these different news sources, but won't talk to the San Francisco Chronicle about her contentions about the student athlete in question? Why is this kid still on your team? To me, she did something unforgivable. If this player is trans, and again, this player, supposedly identified as Brooke Fleming, had not said a word about their gender identity, and they played college volleyball for 3 years. Let's make sure we understand that fact. This kid either did one of two things: outed this kid, which is bad, or bore false witness on this kid, which is just as bad. Why is Brooke Slusser on this team? And you can't tell me that this isn't affecting the team, because currently San Jose State is in the middle of a 3-game tailspin, and they haven't looked good doing it. They have played 10 sets the last 3 games. They've lost 9 of those. They've lost every match. Something must be going on in that locker room. You see, I talked to Sid Ziegler at Outsports about this a few days ago. And Sid said, in a locker room, there's all types of people in the locker room. There are sexist, misogynist, and racist in the locker room. And yes, there is. There are those type of people in workplaces all over the world. There are people you just don't get along with. But it's one thing when someone has their views but doesn't bring it into the office, but they have them. It's another thing when they broadcast those views all over the place to the detriment of your team. And for me, that's the dividing line. I don't know about anybody else, but if I was the head coach at San Jose State, it'd be a cold day in hell before Brooke Slusser played for me. Hashtag just saying. Campaign 2024 and the anti-trans nonsense just keeps going. Over $65 million of it, according to the New York Times, brought to you by the Republicans.
Transphobia for a stronger America.
And one of those in the thick of it all, incumbent Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Now, Ted Cruz has been on a big ad buy in the last couple weeks to try and fend off his challenger, Democratic Representative Colin Allred, by trying to paint Colin Allred in a very negative light with a number of anti-trans ads. One of the biggest was done by a surrogate group for Senator Cruz, who showed a likeness of Colin Allred, a former NFL player, mind you, wiping out a girls' high school flag football player and trying to say that's what happens when you have boys playing girls' sports, or what they really don't want to say, transgender girls playing with cisgender girls. The usual anti-trans nonsense. Now, Representative Allred made a response a couple of days after this ad went out on the airwaves.
Ted Cruz is lying again, but now he's lying about our children. I'm a dad. I'm also a Christian. And my faith has taught me that all kids are God's kids. So let me be clear. I don't want boys playing girls' sports or any of this ridiculous stuff that Ted Cruz is saying.
In a word, yikes. Allred was criticized for this ad, and I'll say rightfully so, because, yes, I understand. He's a dad. He's a Christian. And immediately fell right into the trap that Senator Cruz laid by basically getting him to, in effect, agree with something that he may or may not agree with, but do it because, like a lot of Democrats, they feel they have to do that because it's politically expedient. Now, fast forward to Tuesday, Texas Senate debate, locally televised one via WFAA in Dallas. And this time, Representative Allred came with a different tune. Let's check out the exchange.
He said not a word about his own record. I have to admit, the beginning of it, it reminded me of Kamala Harris in her debates, answering everything. Look, I was born in the middle class. It's some lines that sound nice that ignore his record. Let's just talk about his voting record. Again, you can go to allredfacts.com. You can see the actual votes. 4 times he has come out for men playing in women's sports, for boys playing in girls' sports. He is a co-sponsor, and he voted for a law called the Equality Act. The Equality Act mandated that boys be able to go in girls' bathrooms, in their locker rooms, and their changing rooms. He voted for it. That is his record. Number 2, there was a bill. It was a very simple bill. It was narrowly defined. It was protecting women in girls' sports. He voted no. The only issue on that bill was whether biological boys should compete against our daughters. That's not fair. Congressman Allred was an NFL linebacker. It is not fair for a man to compete against women. The 3rd time he signed on to something called the Transgender Bill of Rights. Transgender Bill of Rights explicitly, and he co-sponsored it, mandated that boys compete against girls' sports. And just 2 weeks ago, Congressman Allred joined 100 radical Democrats in demanding that our military allow drag shows on military bases, pay for soldiers to have sex changes using taxpayer money, and pay for children to be sterilized and have sex changes on military bases. Again, that's extreme. That's not Texas,
Senator,
but that is his voting
Senator,
record.
that's your time.
Yeah.
Congressman,
Thank you.
There's a lot to respond to there. What, you have 60 seconds.
I mean, it's a lot. And I stand here as a proxy for millions of Texans who are sick and tired of this act. You know, when Ted Cruz starts talking about team sports, you got to watch out, because the only position he ever played was left out. And I'm not trying to be mean, Senator, but sit this one out, please. Listen, I don't support boys playing girls' sports. I don't.
Why'd you vote
No,
for it?
stop.
Why did you vote
Let me
for it?
speak. Let me speak. What I think is that folks should not be discriminated against. And what Senator Cruz should try to explain to you is why he thinks they should. But ultimately, what he's trying to do is a little game called distraction, to distract you from his record of doing horrific things to folks in this state, of abandoning us when we need him most, of not being there when we need him. That's what he's trying to do, and that's why he's spending so much time on this.
Not perfect, not as strident as I'd like it to be, but it was better. Representative Allred came out and made the extra statement that I think more people needed to hear. Perfect statement, no, but a pushback, definitely. And this falls in line with what happened with a number of candidates back in 2022. Remember, the Republicans have tried this gambit before. The anti-trans gambit 2 years ago didn't work. One of the textbook examples was Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. Beshear was hit with a barrage of anti-trans ads, but instead of trying to play politically expedience, he took it on head on. And the result was a Democrat got a resounding win in a statewide race in a very red state. And it was definitive. Fast forward to now. And Wednesday night, Fox News the Democratic standard bearer for the highest office in the land, Vice President Kamala Harris, was hit with the same nonsense. And she chested up to it too. Check it out.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law. And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries
you know what, you got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in his presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment surgeries?
I will follow the law, just as I think Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think he spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas, at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people.
The moral of the story? It's not going to be perfect. We don't expect to be perfect. But we hope that you say something.
I interrupt transposition sports because I'm cute and I can't. And for this message from the angry gay grandpa. You don't pay me enough for this, Carly.
So maybe I'll start a little bit softer.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine.
Dad?
Before you say anything, I just want to apologize for what I said this morning. I've been doing a lot of thinking. If you want to change your name, if you want to wear a dress.
It's a skirt, Dad.
Skirt? I don't know the kind of support you need, but let's get you some for all this transgender stuff.
Wait. Are you serious? Dad, what is this?
Oh, this is me supporting you. This is me saying I love you. This is me not losing you.
Love you, Dad.
Love you. Holly.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
And now to an expansion team making their first misstep, and they haven't even started play yet. Boss Nation FC, expansion team in the National Women's Soccer League, set to start in 2026, had their launch this week. First, there's that name. There's supposed to be a palindrome on Bostonians. May need a little bit of work there. But what was worse was this.
Boston, the city of champions. A legacy filled with trophies, banners, rings, and balls. Old balls, new balls, steel balls, cold balls, even goat balls.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Boston loves its balls. But maybe there are too many balls in this town. So let's add a new chapter to our city's legacy. With new idols, new dreams, and a new league to cheer for, the National Women's Soccer League. For every person in every neighborhood across every square mile, this is our city, our new team, our new nation. We are Boss Nation, where anything is possible. No balls necessary. Well,
needless to say, this drew a lot of heat and from a lot of different corners and a lot of criticism. This is supposed to be a women's team. Why exactly are we talking about balls? Some people cite it as just very behind the times. That's the way I saw it. This would have gotten probably a giggle in the locker room back in 1985. But others saw deeper overtones. Some saw it as transphobic, and given the tenor of the times, that's an understandable feeling. Now, to the credit of the team, the high command of Boss Nation FC issued an apology where they basically said, we goofed it, we made a mistake, we missed, we're going to listen to our fans, we're going to do better. And they made it a point to point out that they apologized to the LGBTQIA fandoms and supporters groups that have already started to form, even though this team doesn't take a field until 2026. And they made it a point to reach out to transgender people who may become fans of this team and say, we missed, and we're sorry, and we're going to do better. It's a good mea culpa, and it's a good start. Let's hope that Boss Nation FC, or whatever name they're going to be in personally, I hope it's a good name. Oh, just a little hint. Boston Coven. Think about that. I kind of like it. Hopefully, whatever name this team takes and whatever shape this team takes, they continue to work on this, improve, and do better.
If you're an openly trans athlete, you may as well just paint a red and white target on you. Because you're going to have the modern day lynch mob come after you. Whether you're in a swimming pool, whether you're in Rhode Island and you're just two people that want to run around a track, whether you're in Texas and you just want to play high school flag football, you're going to have the nonsense mongering brigade come after you just because you exist. Just because you exist.
You'll know that voice from anywhere. It's the voice of Phoebe Rose, the host of Transition Stories and Transition Journeys. Now, in her 6th season of sitting down with anyone and everyone and just getting their stories. One of my favorite watches. I think you'll enjoy it too. Now, this week, I get to step into her domain like we announced last month. Kind of think of it as exchange. I'm stepping into her spot and she's stepping into mine. And here at Transposition Sports, she joins us on this week before the United States Grand Prix in Austin, Texas, to talk about our favorite things, Grand Prix racing, and being glad just to be. We're in Texas, and we're coming into Texas at a time where Constructors Championship still very much in the air, and the Drivers' Championship. Do you think Verstappen is starting to consolidate his hold on the title, or could say Leclerc or Norris have a chance?
Oh, Verstappen's going to bin it. He's going to bin it because he doesn't understand how to drive the championship. We saw that very much in Austria when he was unable to drive the championship. And that will be his downfall.
Now, now, when you say driving the championship, what do you mean here? For the uninitiated?
So we go back to the Jensen Buttons of this world, who drove the championship in the second half of the season in 2009, where he drove to win the championship.
So another points race, as we would call in NASCAR, points racing.
Yes, points racing. What the 10-8, 6-4-3-2-1 championship points scenario caused Nobody going for the win, just points racing, because it's 2 points, who cares? Whereas now, I don't think Max quite understands that, because he has this bizarre belief that he has every right to win every race, an entitlement, so to speak, to win every race. But he hasn't won in 7 races. And
he's got 7 wins.
He can have 7 more wins if he really wants, but he hasn't won in 7 races. And I think that this is where you show your characters to if you're a true great driver. Can you take machinery that isn't necessarily the greatest machinery and win in it? And I don't think that Max is quite able to realize that he no longer has the greatest machinery out there. Whereas if you look at other people driving other cars in the past, when you had Schumacher in a 96 Ferrari and you had Lewis in a 09-10 McLaren, those drivers winning races back then, Senna and a Tolman at Monaco that year, that's the kind of drive that you can't really point to with Max in his career. You can't point to a race.
Or another good example, Senna in 92 with a McLaren that decidedly was not the best in the field, but was fighting every race.
Yeah. Or Schumacher with only 5th gear at the British Grand Prix in 1995, where he only had 5th gear. He was stuck with just 5th gear, and he was still able to drive the sodding thing. And I don't think that you can point to a race like that with Max.
You feel Max is at the point where all of a sudden, where the aura of invincibility that we've seen from Max in recent years,
and we have seen from the Christian Horner machine, has fallen apart, because it's very telling how petty Christian Horner has got again. Very quickly with Zach Brown, very quickly with other teams up and down the pit lane again. 2021 was an unedifying nonsense for Formula One, and it was an unedifying nonsense because
Phoebe, here we go.
Because Christian Horner and Red Bull and Toto Wolff and Mercedes behaved like children in the playground. It was who can be pettier than the other one, who can find something wrong, who can do this. It was an unedifying mess because neither team respected the other.
Is McLaren the team of the future?
It's the team of now. It's the team of today and tomorrow. So that there are 2 teams that will run the table next year. And Christian Horner and Toto Wolff aren't at that table.
So you're saying it's going to be a McLaren Ferrari fight for the title?
It's going to be Zach Brown and Mattia Binotto. Simple as that. They will be running the table.
Right now, according to the constructor standings, it's McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes.
Yeah. So next season, Red Bull won't be anywhere. Red Bull will be a nice 3rd if they're lucky. Other teams have caught them up and have overtaken them.
Now,
and it's good for Formula One, and that's good for Formula One.
You've got a show coming up. What is it about this Carly Webb person that interests you enough to actually sit on your farm?
You're not me. You don't look like me. You don't sound like me. You don't have the background of me. You're not the same age as me. You're not me. And the more we look in the mirror and see not yourself, the better the world will be. You are not me. You couldn't be any more different than me. I'm an Anglo-Irish white Jew white passing Jew of North African descent. You're from the middle of America. You're older than I am, and you've had life experiences up the wazoo that are different to mine. And that is why you are a person I want sat in my show. I don't want 50 Phoebe Rose people sat in my chair, because nobody would tune in and I would learn nothing.
And that leads me to my next question. Because now you're living in this country in full.
The United States, for those of you who don't realize.
Living in the United States. And I'm still wondering why you picked the United States. That's a different question for a different show.
Horses for courses, that one?
Well, I know you moved here for love. I know that.
I did.
But what's your thoughts on two things? First, if you've been keeping up in sports, this nonsense, the situation in regards to teams forfeiting because of someone who they think is trans.
It's no different to having the Negro Leagues. Excuse my use of that term, but that is what they were called. It's no different to that. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. It's Iran intentionally turning up late because it was drawn against Israel. It's sport, and I'm gonna catch flack for that statement that I just made. I know I will. I'm not defending the existence of Israel or Iran here, for that matter. What I'm making is an analogy here that it's sport. And to start bringing the levels of politics that have been brought into it is absurd. I mean, the grift machine of these idiots out there is unbelievable. And the only truth about this whole situation is that the stories that they want to believe are the only ones they care about, are the ones manufactured in their own heads. Reality be damned. Truth be damned. The manufactured story in their heads is the only one that matters. And it doesn't matter how much reason you come up with, how much evidence you come up with, it's all irrelevant. Because they haven't reasoned themselves into this position. And therefore you can't reason them out of it. So the only way around it is to sanction them. And to say to these teams, you play by our rules and you play every other team, or you get out. And that's it.
Ending things up here at TransPositions Sports.
Excuse me, read my contract, Carly. I'm supposed to get some FaceTime on this show.
Okay, Kirby, go ahead.
This is Kirby the Cat with an update on something we had for you last week. Told you about Brittany Miller, founder of the Puget Sound Pronouns. Great season she had. Carly told you all about it. Well, she's playing for the Seattle Revolution at the Gay World Series, and to clean it up right now, she's batting 1,000. She's driven home a gazillion runs, and the team's looking real good as they head into bracket play for Class C starting on Friday through the weekend.
Swing for the fences, Ms. Miller, and good luck, Revolution. For TransPositions Sports, I'm Carly Chardonnay-Webb.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, that was a great episode of sports. Oh, I'm blurry. Unblur. Unblur. Unblur me. Maybe I'm better blurry. Hey, Carly. Great segment. I love the Kirby the Cat segments. I want more Kirby all the time. More Kirby the Cat, please. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap things up right here. But really appreciate everybody who stuck around and watched the show with us tonight. There will be these segments replayed for everybody throughout the week. So look for those. We'll be getting those cut up and edited out for you. I have it on the schedule. So unless you all have anything else to say, let's go ahead and finish things up. All right.
Well, Carly's occupied with Kitty.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great segment. That really was great. It's terrific.
Like you said, Kitty was happy. Now we renegotiate contract again.
All right.
No, it's a good show all the way around. I like the fact that things like Ember's Good Nude segment is always excellent. Getting the crickets in there was great.
Yeah.
And of course,
that was a good story this week.
No, again, all the crick kids, we want you on Transpositions News. We want you. We can figure something out. If they to at least do something with them, that'd be great, because I think what those young people are doing, and the mere fact that Kelly Jean Key or Posey Parker, whichever name she's using this week, it's a different name every week with her. If she has to go on the Julia what's her face show, and by the way, I don't understand how she has a show. It's so ridiculously biased.
Yeah.
I mean, she's as bad as Pierce Morgan. The mere fact that woman felt the need to go after, that tells you something. It tells you they're scared.
It doesn't really speak.
They're scared.
It doesn't speak so much that they didn't identify that it was a group of children essentially that were participating in this.
These people don't care. They don't care.
Yeah.
To them, trans youth are expendable. And see, the one thing I'd like to see is more of that, but I'd also like to see cis kids who are friends and allies stand. See, that's the thing. Everybody talks about allies. I don't want allies. I want comrades. I want a comrade. I want people.
I want accomplices.
You're ally and you're so brave. I want somebody who says, I'm going to be brave right along with you. I am prepared to face these people down with you. I'd like to see one teammate at San Jose State University chest up to Brooke Schuster and say, if you say one more word to Outkick, if you say one more word to Breitbart, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, get off this team.
Just get off the field.
You're hurting us.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, she's a senior. She doesn't care. She's going to become a Riley Gaines replicant and work for her foundation after she graduates. She's going to go off and get some job with the Independent Women's Forum or the Concerned Women for America or whatever Republican anti-trans tight-ass club will take her at this point. She does not care. But if I was an underclassman on that team, if I was a junior or sophomore or freshman on that team, I'd be thinking, no, this is my future you're messing with.
Mm-hmm.
This is my future you're messing with. And this
those
kid
those kids don't get.
They say, and see, they sell NIL merch for this kid. Oh no, this kid has an NIL mark. I say boycott it. But you know what's going to happen? And the real sad thing is, that's the one thing I want to tell all these teams. Riley Gaines doesn't care about you. She doesn't care if you get funding next year.
Riley Gaines
She
cares
could
about
care
the
less.
paycheck. She cares about the paycheck.
This is not about fairness,
It's not about
safety.
sports.
Oh, it never was. But the whole thing is, I hate it when people use I hate it when people use. I hate it when people use, and I see there's a Trumper in the room.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, somebody came out, and that's fine. I mean, my attitude is at this point.
Yeah. Oh,
But the game just shows that's
too bad you didn't come earlier in the show. You might have got a chance to put in some actual talking points instead of just shouting slogans. Now move along, little Trumper. I think Carly got some Kirby hair in her eye.
Kirby. Yeah, but I love me. I love my kitty. I have the best little kitty in the world. And she's a pretty decent, and she's good comic relief. You'll be hearing more from Kirby. We're gonna make sure we get a little content.
I'm not sure that's a Trumper. I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a Trumper. I mean, I don't think we give enough attention to assholes that simply that are bigots. There are people that are not Trumpers that are bigots. We need to be aware of the fact.
You mean they're transphobe Democrats? Oh, we don't even know that.
They said Trump 2024 though, so they're definitely a Trumper.
Fine. Okay,
That's what they
fine.
said. Trump 2024.
But I just need to point out you don't bigotry comes in all flavors and all colors and all everything. And so it's when you see it, take it for what it is. Don't take it for a cluster of things. Just take it for what it is. I know Trumpers who are actually people who admire me, which is weird, but it's true. And I have a difficult time with that because it's the cognitive dissonance is strong with these people. It's like, and that's difficult it's hard to process. But it's the old Abraham Lincoln's better angels of our nature and stuff. You try to feed those angels angel food cake or whatever it is to turn them around.
See, I gotta say,
so I get where you're coming from. There's people I've worked with that are conservative and they vote conservative and they go to church and they just love me to death, think I'm just the nicest person, and chat me up every time they see me. Neighbors, family, friends, and they're all going to do that, and then they're going to vote for somebody who's going to take all this away from me.
Who's going to screw you over?
Yeah. So they may not be overtly, but it doesn't really make a difference. It doesn't make a difference if they're saying mean shit to my face, and then they vote against me, or if they're saying nice shit to my face and vote against me. So, all right, we're gonna end things right here.
I don't know where you're meeting these people because I have yet to meet one of them. When I see Trumpers, when I see Republicans, when I see TransPositions, I see Terminators.
Yes.
I see the T800X. I see T8. That's what I see.
Well,
I see Terminators. I see Skynet. That's what I see. I see soulless people who can't be reasoned with, can't be bargained with, and they will not stop until you are dead. That's what I see from them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that one of their ilk may watch this, and I'm going to say it. You want me dead. And I
Mm-hmm.
understand this. After all, what did Michael Knowles say at CPAC? Transgenderism must be eradicated
Mm-hmm.
from this society entirely.
Public life.
Eradicated.
That means you can't.
Eradicated from public life. Now, in case you don't know what eradicated, if you don't know
means
what destroy completely, put and is the dictionary definition, in case you don't know what that word means. I certainly do, and Michael Knowles knows what he meant by
of course
that.
he does.
Understand what these people want. Why they're afraid, I have no idea. My transition has nothing to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Never did.
My transition have to do with Michael thing. Riley Gaines care less about trans people. Ties for fifth, which is to be trans, goes to the meet, gets interviewed after the meet, and says, I have no problem with Leah Thomas. And see her at a conference getting a check and throwing up this rhetoric. I mean, at best, you're going to see her run for Congress in a couple years. She'll be the next Lauren Boebert.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hopefully, Colorado gets rid of the one we got. Wouldn't mind that.
And hopefully they don't pick another one.
But you see, that's the thing. There's going to be another one. There's going to be more of them. It's going to be more of them. They can't. And they understand who they are. They understand what they are, and they understand why. And the real sad thing is they're bringing young people into this. They're even going as far as like recruiting middle school kids for this nonsense. I've seen middle school kids speak their things.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do think that when I bring up call out the bigotry where it happens, it also has to do with the whole, I hear this all the time. Well, when the boomers all die, everything will be fine. But here's the thing. How old is Michael Knowles? Right? How
Probably
old
in
are
his
these
30s,
people?
40s.
He's probably in his 30s, probably in his 40s. This is not a general. The thing that my generation should have shown you is that the Young Americans for Freedom won the debate. The dirty fucking hippies lost. I was a dirty fucking hippie. We lost. We thought we'd passed on beyond prejudice, beyond bigotry. We thought we'd won the fight, but you never win the fight because the fight and the struggle
Fight
goes
never
on.
ends.
It
Yeah.
never ends. If you become self-satisfied and you take your foot off the accelerator, you're going to lose because those suckers, they keep fighting. They kept fighting. It took them 50 years, but they overturned the Civil Rights Act. It took them 50 years, but they overturned Roe v. Wade. It took them a long time, but they don't stop.
No, they don't.
And the thing that's really fucking frustrating to me is that so many of us stopped. It just didn't keep it didn't bend the bow. If the arc of justice bends towards, if the arc of history bends towards justice, somebody has to bend the bow.
Exactly.
And we all need to be doing that, and we all need to be keeping that in mind. And it's no good whatsoever blaming this generation or that generation for any of this stuff. You need to take responsibility and keep it. Listen to your friends. It's not the people that are at death's door that are going to be your oppressors. It's your pals in your generation. Keep an eye out and don't give up.
This is a good place to wrap up for the night, ladies. Yeah. So for transpositions, I've been Bree McCune.
I've been Stephanie Helms and still am, actually.
And I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. And there we are.
Oh, I guess I can get that one off here.
Yeah.
I thought that was the real Carly. I was jamming with that. I found the right notes and everything. I couldn't keep up with them for the life of me, but
That's good. That's good.
I found some of the notes, which is a
Yeah,
feat
good.
in and of itself. Pretty soon I'll be performing it live while we open the show up. You can do your muscle mommy dance or muscle granny or whatever you're going for.
I don't know what I'm going for. I'm
Oh.
going for physical relief at this point. Holy shit.
Yeah, go get yourself some rest. Sorry, I'm keeping
I'm
you.
gonna do that.
I'm gonna go say hey to Jay and
Yeah, I'm gonna go over there, and I'm good. I'm tired, but I'll be fine in the morning. Just it's been a stretch, I guess is the best way to put it. But yeah, let's go together and gather the accolades.
Yep.
And thanks for producing and great show, Bree.
Yeah,
Awesome.
now that I know that I can push the play button and stuff, and
Yeah.
I can start and end the streams, we're fucking
Mhm.
golden. I got this. Yeah, production's
Okay.
gonna go a lot smoother moving forward. I hope. Well, I hope. As long as we can keep using your account here. Yeah. All right, I'll see you in Gather.
Yeah, I don't mind giving you the password. So whatever. Ciao.